So I've been thinking, yes, I know, thinking, that's a scary thought. So as you guys know, I've been doing a mini series on the top 4 different barbecues in the US, which are Texas, Memphis, Carolina, and Kansas City. Those are the 4 big ones. And when I started this, a thought came into my head. Everybody else, even in different states, kind of have their own version of barbecue in a sense. What about Ohio? I know what you're thinking, Gabe. You're cracked. You don't know what you're talking about. You just stop where you're at. But I think I can put something together. I did some research, and there is a Cleveland-style barbecue, but I wanted to create something that is a generic Ohio-based style barbecue that kind of represents different portions of Ohio. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started and let's dive into this, because I'm really excited to show you guys this. I hope it's received well. Put a lot of thought into this. I think it's gonna work. So in these 4 videos, I've based everything off of 3 things: the protein, the rub, and then the sauce. Texas has brisket, and then you have Carolina that's known for ribs, and the whole hog mostly is what they're known for. And then Memphis is ribs, and Kansas City is kind of a little bit of everybody. But I wanted something that kind of represented Ohio. And I thought about doing roasts, but chuck roast and pork loin just didn't make sense because that's not what real true barbecue is. So what's something that nobody really talks about? Yes, it's used, but nobody really talks about it. Pork butt. Duh. Pork butt is somewhat of a roast. It's a bone-in roast, but why not pork butt? It's simple, it's easy, so I chose pork butt as the protein. I guess you could say it's kind of the butt of all the jokes. Anyway, for this rub, I wanted to start with some of the basics, but then there's a little bit of a twist at the end. I actually, a couple of days ago, I liked the way this one turned out, and so I hung on to it, but this is what it looks like. It smells really good. It smells sweet. It's got a little bit of spice to it. You can also smell a little bit of the special ingredient that I have in this. So the first ingredient is going to be brown sugar. And I put about a 1/4 cup of brown sugar in there. And that's kind of our starter base. Okay, and then next, for onion, garlic, pepper, and chili powder, I did about a tablespoon of each. And that's kind of the in-between stuff, the typical stuff, the normal stuff, whatever. Okay, and then I did about 2 tablespoons of salt and about 2 tablespoons of sweet paprika. Now you can use smoked paprika, either one works, because we do have quite a bit of brown sugar in there. So either one works. If you can do sweet paprika, do sweet paprika. Okay, and then I put about 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, because I wanted that sweet heat. And now for the special ingredient, the one that kind of sets everything apart. And I put a little bit of thought into this about why I wanted to use this and the purpose of it, but here it is. Yes, cinnamon. So we're gonna add just a little bit of cinnamon to kind of represent that Greek influence / that Southern Ohio influence portion of this barbecue. So we're adding just a little bit. We're gonna add about a teaspoon of cinnamon to it. But then that's our rub. I was thinking about maybe putting mustard in it, like ground mustard, but instead I'm gonna use mustard as the binder on top of the pork shoulder. So let's go ahead and put this together, and then we'll throw it in our smoker. All right, so I got my pork butt, and then I got my regular mustard, and I got my seasoning. All right, so I got one hand to rub with, and I got my other hand to pour stuff with. I'm gonna start with just a little bit of mustard. Like I said, just enough to coat it, not a whole lot, but enough to cover the whole thing so that the rub sticks and stays. And obviously this will cook down, so you don't really, you taste the flavor of the mustard, but you don't really like taste just mustard. Now I'm gonna leave this on the tray for the first few hours because I don't want the bottom to burn. The last time I did something like this for a long time, the bottom burnt and it kind of ruined it because everything else was edible, but the bottom wasn't, and that was like most of the pork. So I'm gonna leave this on the tray, okay? And then I got my seasoning, and I'm going to put this on my pork butt. And it's interesting, it's kind of got a pinkish look to it, which is kind of weird, but it's kind of cool at the same time. I like it. And this should give it a nice kind of candy coating because of the amount of sugar that's in there. But this should be pretty solid with a nice little bit of heat to it too. And I want to make sure that every little nook and cranny is coated nicely. Okay, and there you have it, a beautifully coated pork butt. So we're gonna throw this in the smoker at 225 for at least 10 and a half hours, if not probably closer to like 13 hours. Because last time I did this, it was supposed to be 10.5 hours, and I think I ended up going for about 12. So we're gonna throw this in there until it's done, and then once it gets close, we'll make the barbecue sauce, which is where things are gonna start getting a little interesting. So let's take this out and let's get this started. Much better. All right, guys, so we are at hour, I think 9, but we are looking good. I took it off the pan so that the bottom can get a nice crust on it, but let's take a look at what it looks like. Oh yeah. That looks pretty awesome. I love the crust that it built on it. So we still got about 4.5 hours left to go, but when it gets close, we'll start making our sauce and we'll get to it. All right, so our pork butt will end up going for about 14 hours. We're almost done with our pork butt. So let's go ahead and make our sauce. And as you can see, we got some interesting ingredients over here, which I'm very excited to share and why we're using these specific ingredients. So I've tried a few different variations of this. One I really liked, but it needed something else and I didn't know what it was missing. The other one, I don't even want to talk about it. It just didn't taste good. I didn't like it. I don't want to talk about it. So this is the version that I like the most, and I think I know what needs to be added to fix it, but let's go ahead and make this sauce. So the first ingredient is definitely an Ohio ingredient. Obviously it's in the name, but we are using Buckeye vodka. And yes, it is made in Ohio. It's not just the name. So I wanted to use this because it's an Ohio thing. It's part of Ohio. It's an Ohio proud ingredient. That's just what I wanted to use. It's a very neutral flavor. It's actually corn. Most vodka is either potatoes, but this one is made from corn. Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to cook out the alcohol. I also need to kind of double it because it does reduce quite a bit. Every time I make it, because one, it boils really fast, but when I make it, it reduces a lot. So we're gonna kind of double what the amount we want, and then when it reduces, it'll be the amount that I wanted to use in the first place. So then the other ingredient that I want to add, well, I wanted to see if there was something that was made in Ohio, and there is. This is called Wilbur's mustard, and it is based in Springfield, Ohio. It's a grain mustard, but the other important thing is it's a German-style mustard, and there's a lot of German heritage in Ohio. So I wanted to use something that was made in Ohio, and this is what I found. It's like a spicy brown mustard. I was thinking about using cayenne pepper. Every time I do this, there just isn't enough sweetness. So instead, I thought, well, maybe I can use hot sauce. But most hot sauce isn't sweet, it's hot sauce, duh. Well, I found out that Skyline Chili hot sauce was the answer to that. Skyline Chili hot sauce actually has just a little bit of carrot juice in it. It also kind of gives it that extra kick too. But then once we're done with this, I'm actually going to throw it in my blender, let it kind of emulsify a little bit, because this mustard kind of gets grainy, and so this will help smooth it out. But let's make this sauce. Okay, so I want to use about 1/2 cup of this vodka, mainly because then we'll end up with about a little over 1/4 cup, and it's going to be just enough to cover the bottom of your pot. Okay, we're going to give this a second to start boiling, then once it starts boiling, then we'll start adding everything else. That way it gives the alcohol a chance to cook off, and we're not getting hammered on barbecue sauce. Not that that would be fun or funny, but we want it to taste good and we want to be able to enjoy it. So we got to let the alcohol cook off some. And as you can kind of hear, it starts pretty quick. Okay, we're going to turn the heat down. Okay, and we're going to add a 1/4 cup of the Wilbur's mustard. We're going to add about a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Okay, then we're going to add about a 1/4 cup of ketchup. Okay, then we're going to add a tablespoon of salt and a tablespoon of pepper. We're also going to add a tablespoon of onion powder and a tablespoon of garlic powder. Okay, then we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of chili powder. Okay, then we're going to add about a tablespoon of paprika. Okay, then we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of honey. And then lastly, we're going to start with a tablespoon of this hot sauce. And if it needs a little bit more heat, then we can add another tablespoon. Okay, I'm going to give this a good stir. Ooh, I think this is my best one that I've made. Wow, it's a slow heat, but wow, that is, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh, okay, all right. Yes! This is what I wanted to make. Wow, that is... It's got a subtle heat to it. It kind of lingers on your tongue just a little bit. Wow, that is good. It's got a little bit of tang to it from the mustard. Wow. Woo! Yes, this is genuine happiness right now. I just want to let you know that. Alright, so before I drink this sauce, let's go see what our pork is looking like. We'll bring it out, we'll let it rest for a little bit, and then we'll dig in with the sauce or without the sauce if I still have any left, or yeah. Alright, so here we are. So let's take the bone out and let's try this out. I would say that comes out pretty clean. Maybe a little bit longer, but excellent. Alright, so it smells yummy. Definitely smells sweet. A little taste test. Definitely can taste the brown sugar. You don't really taste the cinnamon. Actually, you kind of taste the spiciness of the cinnamon. Just a little bit, but you kind of have to be looking for it. But it's definitely got a sweet factor to it. It's got a little bit of spice there at the end. The pork pretty good. Man, it's like this thing just came out of the smoker. Woo! Let's try it with the sauce. That's pretty good. It adds a nice acid to it, especially with the tanginess of the mustard. Again, the heat kind of comes later. It definitely bodes well with the pork and how fatty the pork is. Maybe got a little excited with the brown sugar. Just reduced the brown sugar a little bit, but it doesn't help when I wasn't paying attention, but that's okay. Accidents happen. That's pretty good. It's got just enough heat, and this has been sitting for about an hour in the fridge, so it's had time to kind of mellow its flavors, but that's solid. It kind of makes you want to keep coming back for more, to be honest, and that's all I wanted. And yeah, that is pretty tasty. Well, I am very happy the way that the sauce turned out. I'm glad that I kept testing it because I really wanted the sauce to work. The rub works wonders. The rub is excellent, especially with the brown sugar and the cinnamon. Again, the cinnamon, you kind of taste the spiciness of the cinnamon, not so much the sweetness of it. You definitely taste the brown sugar, and then everything else is just kind of a warm flavor. But the barbecue sauce definitely complements the pork. I will say that. It has its heat. Like I said, it kind of just sits on your tongue and it kind of lingers. It's not a strong heat, but it's enough to kind of make you keep wanting more. This is stellar. I like this. It forms a nice crust, nice tacky crust on the pork. You could use this as a baster. Personally, I would just add it on too, because it does it thickens up enough. You're kind of covering everything up. But no, I'm very, very happy with all of this. I was very nervous that this wasn't going to work out. I was really, really hoping that this was going to work out. I'm glad I did my trials and errors with it. But there you have it, guys. I guess this is Ohio style barbecue. But, if you like this video and you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that sub button and notification button. Comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me if I should add something, subtract something. Yeah, share this with your friends and family. And as always, guys, peace out, and I will see you guys in the next one.